Welcome back, everyone, to another interview from the Women's Lacrosse Network. Today, I'm joined by sophomore on the San Diego State Women's Lacrosse team, Madison Rewey. Madison, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on. And how is everything going?
That's good. Thank you so much for having me. Just enjoying the summer while I'm home now.
Yeah, nice to hear that. So obviously, thinking back to last summer, I'm just curious. Now you're officially you're a sophomore. So did your freshman year meet the expectations that you had in your head? And I assume you thought about what it was going to be like playing against some of the best players in the country and practicing against them as well. And I'm just curious if the thoughts that you had in your head about that actually met the reality of what happened.
Yeah, well, I would say it definitely met the expectations with like just joining the team and like how nice and kind the girls were going to be. But I would say like the thoughts that I had about college lacrosse kind of met the expectations, but were also different. I feel like the physical aspects of becoming a Division One athlete were pretty similar to what I thought, knowing how much training I was going to go into. But I think the mental side of the game was much more intense than I expected. I knew that obviously mental toughness is a huge part of the lacrosse game. But I didn't realize all the extra stressors that would kind of be added on just being a freshman, like kind of finding your role on the team, having the mindset of knowing that you truly do belong there, and also having the confidence of playing on this team, and especially against some of the best players in the country and your older teammates. So I feel like all those are all aspects that our freshmen are having to experience while also adjusting to college that may come on stronger expected. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. How do you work on your mental side of the game and how do you try to stay focused during a big game as well? Because obviously, like you mentioned, it's a big part about lacrosse that isn't talked about enough. So I'm just curious how you work on that part of your game.
Mhm. I would definitely say just like the mental toughness piece is just leaning on your support systems, like talking to your coaches when you need it, talking to your teammates, like leaning on them. And even like I would call my parents a lot. And I feel like that would just help me get rid of any like negative energy I might have had in my head. And then like while playing, I think definitely just having deep breaths and like having resets with your teammates after each goal was like really helpful to just kind of keep you in a calm mind and a calm state. Is what I would do.
Now, California is far away from Illinois. Did you get homesick at all last year and how did you handle that?
Yeah, so California is pretty far, which I thought was going to be more of a struggle for me, but it actually turned out being just fine. I'm someone who travels a lot, especially during the summer for long periods of time. So being away from home for a while isn't something that really bothers me, but actually living far away from home and away from my family, was definitely a different experience. I was only homesick a few times. It was normally during second semester, I would say, just because I was there for a longer stretch of time versus first semester where I had like Thanksgiving break and winter break. But and definitely like points in the season too felt a lot longer. But honestly, having such great friends there and the fact that my parents got to come out for a handful of games definitely diminished any of those homesick feelings. So it wasn't too bad.
How did the juniors and seniors help your transition to college lacrosse?
They were great. The juniors and seniors I just had on my previous team were some of the best leaders and best friends I could have asked for, honestly. Like from day one, they greeted us with like smiles and great energy, which just made the environment so much lighter, and easier to become comfortable with. And then they also made a lot of extra effort to get to know us outside of lacrosse, which felt really special and I feel like helped create a strong bond between like the senior grade and the freshman grade and even the junior grade and the freshman grade. Um, but honestly, I think the biggest impact that our team does that helps us become closer with the upperclassmen is something called MEEGS, which stands for Amigos. And it's kind of like where an upperclassman gets paired with a lowerclassman and they're like your buddy for the year. My buddy for this year, my MEEGS this year was Jordan Dobin. She's an upcoming senior, and she became one of my best friends on the team just because of the time that we spent together being MEEGS. And she's like one of my biggest supporters and someone that I knew I could go to for anything. And I'm so grateful for the friendship that I created with her because of this special thing we do on our team. Not only because she's an amazing person, but because of how comfortable I became with myself, and like confident in myself, knowing that she had my back throughout the year. It was really great.
Obviously, the season didn't go your team's way. Heading into this off season, do you try to just forget and flush the season away, or and strictly just focus on the future, or do you try to use the season as motivation and feel to get better for 2027?
Yeah, so this was definitely a tougher season for us. But because of that, I feel like we learned so much. Like heading into this off season, I don't think we'll completely flush out how last season went because there are so many takeaways and obstacles that we work through that will just make us better players for the season to come. But we definitely won't dwell on the past either. I would say it's like a mix of remembering the emotions, like feelings and experiences we went through, with also like letting go of the past, using it as fuel and a learning lesson to kind of push us to work harder to be the successful team that we want to be and know that we can be. So yeah, definitely a mix.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career. So you're from Illinois,
Hmm.
specifically Wilmette. So talk about your hometown and the things you like about it for someone who's never been there before.
Yeah, well, Wilmette is a part of a cluster of towns in an area called the North Shore, which is 20 minutes north of Chicago, and then we're right next to Lake Michigan. I love it here personally just because it's such a tight-knit community, and also there's just so many special people here. I've like made some of my best friends growing up here, and I wouldn't be who I am today without them. They're definitely like truly like my rocks in life, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them. But aside from the people in the North Shore, it's filled with, I feel like, just so many opportunities and things to do, like between sports and pastime activities, places to eat. And the fact that we have Lake Michigan right here is really cool because we have like our own beaches, which is fun. And like having Chicago 20 minutes away is great because you can easily take a train down to the city, which just opens up so many activities to do, which I love doing. And the North Shore also has such a great schooling system. Like I went to New High School and had like the best 4 years of my life. It was great. My school is around 4,000 kids, so I'm grateful to have experienced getting to know so many people just through that. But also for the education I received. I feel like I was really set up for SDSU and even for opportunities beyond college. So I truly love it here in Wilmette. It's great.
Growing up, what sports did you play and how did lacrosse become the one that you want to pursue?
So when I was younger, I played a bit of soccer and basketball, but I didn't love that so much, so I mainly was playing tennis. But I didn't start playing lacrosse until about fifth grade. I randomly decided I wanted to play one day. I think I had the idea of it because my mom played in high school and she would talk about it from time to time, but it was kind of a spark of the moment idea. So in fifth grade, I signed up for Team One Girls Lacrosse Club, not knowing how it would be at all. But the coaches that I had who taught me how to play are just the coaches that automatically made me fall in love with the game. But I had a handful of coaches growing up on this Team One Lacrosse Club team. But I had a coach named Kelly Kubach, who I had from fifth grade to senior year, and made me realize like how much I love being competitive and playing the sport. Kelly was tough, honestly, but it was great for me because she allowed me to see my full potential as a player, which just opened up a lot for me too. And then also when I joined my New Trier high school varsity team, I continued to fall in love with the game even more. The coaching staff at New Trier was truly amazing. They gave me so much confidence in myself as a player, and they put me in a lot of uncomfortable situations, just like kind of putting me out there, especially when I was younger, like a freshman and a sophomore, which allowed me to grow so much. And I'm really grateful for that, honestly, because yeah, that let me grow a lot. Um, and then I also feel like the coaches at Nurture always had my back, even outside of lacrosse, which was so important to me and allowed me to have such a close bond with them. And also my teammates on my Nurture team too made my lacrosse experience growing up very, very special for me. Over my 4 years on Nurture, I feel like I made such great friendships for life. I'm still so close with all the girls that I've been teammates with. And there's just huge parts of my life and some of my biggest supporters now, even. They pushed me to become the player I am today and just has taught me so much as a person. And then I think I ended up choosing lacrosse out of all the different sports that I was trying because of the fast-paced movement. I'm someone that's kind of always on the go, so I loved how quick it moved. And also just seeing all the relationships that I had made throughout the years, I was like, this is something that I definitely want to continue having in college.
Yeah, what was it like playing tennis and how did that help you in your lacrosse game? Do you still play now, like for fun?
Yeah, I definitely still now play for fun, just more of like as a hobby and pastime activity. But I grew up playing tennis my whole life and then continued to play it on my New Trier high school team, which was really fun because I met a lot of really cool girls. But tennis was a great outlet for me to kind of like get away from school and lacrosse, like when those things started to get really stressful. But tennis was definitely a lot different from lacrosse because although that I was on like my New Trier team, it was still like a very individual sport, which I found more challenging at times. But the ways lacrosse, or the way that, yeah, tennis helped me with lacrosse, I would say is like the hand-eye coordination piece. I feel like lacrosse came easier to me just because I grew up playing tennis and like had that hand-eye coordination. But the main thing from tennis that I feel like translated to lacrosse was definitely the mental toughness piece because um, tennis was so individual, it would be easy to start putting extra pressure on yourself when mistakes were made. Um, so like in tennis, after a point ended, you had to clear your mind quickly and like put it behind you and get ready for the next point quickly, which took, I feel like, a lot of mental toughness to just stay focused and calm if things weren't going your way. And it's the same thing for lacrosse. Like if a goal were to get scored, you kind of had to quickly learn from it, flush it, and then move forward with the game. And if you dwelled on those mistakes, it didn't have that like next play mentality, it was easy to start getting in your head and making more mistakes, just like in tennis. So tennis definitely really helped with that mental toughness aspect of the game.
Who was your favorite lacrosse player growing up?
I would probably say it was Charlotte North, just because I feel like she was the first player I kind of started following when I was younger and then growing up. And I always thought it was so cool how just how hard she worked and how she was always such a playmaker on the field. It was like she didn't have an off button. And she just never slowed down. And so I thought that was really cool because I used to play offense from when I was younger up until about freshman and sophomore year of high school. So she was someone that I really looked up to. And also just like I thought her shots were amazing. Like they just memorized me every time. So yeah, definitely her.
Now, was the recruiting process like for yourself, and how did you end up deciding to go to San Diego State? And yeah, when did they reach out to you, and when did you make that decision to go there?
Yeah, so actually going into my sophomore year summer, which is I'm sure you know is like the recruiting period, I didn't want to get recruited to play in college. I just didn't know if I was gonna like the process or if I was just gonna want to go through with like all the effort of playing in college. But my parents kind of pushed me to do it and was like, just do it, see what comes of it. If you like your options, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like no pressure with it. So I had a pretty open mind going into the recruiting process. But as I went through that process more and more, I kind of reflected more on my time like playing lacrosse over the years. And it just reminded me of how much lacrosse means to me and that I don't think I would have been ready to stop playing lacrosse after senior year of high school. So that ultimately pushed me to want to play in college more and more. Um, but I'm sure like any other sport, lacrosse recruiting definitely felt very chaotic. I felt like there was a million different camps to sign up for, and it would get overwhelming at times because I had no clue like which ones to sign up for, and there was only so much limited time in the summer. And I'm also the oldest one in my family too, so my parents and I we had no clue what to do with the recruiting process, like how to if there was a right way to do it, a wrong way. So we just kind of started signing up for stuff that looked interesting for me. But I ended up deciding on SDSU because I went to a couple other camps over the summer, um, and even prior to, and I fell in love with the environment and the campus itself. I also love the dynamic of the girls too when I was there. They just had such great energy and enthusiasm. It was something that I was really wanting to be a part of. And I also love my coaches who are Coach White, Coach Brandon, Coach Rob. They just had the best energy and they just seemed so real and fun, which I loved. And they also really seemed to care about each of the individuals that were at their camp, which felt really special to me because I feel like a lot of the camps that I was going to, the coaches wouldn't even like recognize your existence or like acknowledge your presence at all, which was kind of hard at times. But I ultimately knew that I wanted to go to school somewhere different than the environment I live in, somewhere warm. So definitely leaving the Midwest and Chicago, and San Diego's location checked all those boxes for me. And I think my coaches kind of tracked me around from the SDSU camps that I went at, and then they continued to follow me throughout all the other summer tournaments and clinics that I just did over that summer. And then they finally reached out to me on September 1st at 12 a.m., which was one of the coolest, most exciting experiences of my life because SDSU was the top school that I was wanting to go to at the time and just in general. And then I ended up having a call with them on September 1st that next day. So not at 12 a.m., but, um, and they offered me a spot on the team right there and then. And I just remember being in complete, like, utter shock, like in tears, crying. I was so happy. Um, and I can still say it to this day, like September 1st was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I've never experienced something like it. But I was offered that day, but I didn't commit right away because my dad and my sister hadn't even been out to the campus yet, and I kind of was wanting to tour it around one more time just to make sure that I was 100% in and ready to commit there. So I took like an unofficial visit out there, and the coaches toured me around, and I got to meet some of the girls a little closer, which I love because I immediately felt at home there and felt like I fit in right away. So I ended up committing after that unofficial visit.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
you play defense on the team, so my question is, what is the best part about playing defense? In your opinion, what makes San Diego State's defense different from other teams?
Yeah, well, I love defense. I used to play midfield, but then ended up transitioning to defense in high school just because those, like, I enjoyed those aspects a lot more. But I feel like the best part about playing defense I've learned is that we're also playing such like an energy starter role on the team. Like if the goalie makes a save, or if we make an interception, or if we run down that shot clock, we kind of set the tone for the next play on offense and give the rest of the team that positive energy to carry with them over to the offensive side. We kind of pick up the momentum of the game, which I think is really cool. And I really saw that happen a lot in our college games at SCSU. And then I'm sure a lot of other teams have had this, but what I find unique about SCSU defense is that our head coach, Coach White, was a defensive player at Ohio State during her lacrosse career, which I never really had growing up in high school. Um, but because of that, she just has so much deep knowledge and wisdom about the position and all the little aspects that go into it that can be easily overlooked. She just has answers to every little question and situation, which I think is great and really helps our defensive unit just really be on the same page and connected.
Now, reading your bio, it says that you are majoring in marketing. So I wanted to ask you what led you to pick that major, and what are some of the classes you've taken and cool projects you've gotten to work on as a marketing major so far at San Diego State?
Yeah, so I picked marketing because I've always been more of a creative person that likes to do art, like painting and drawing is kind of a hobby. My artistic side kind of comes from my mom. She was an artist growing up and used to sell her pieces after college. And then now she's an interior designer, so I've always been kind of into those types of activities. And because I have that artistic side, I thought that marketing would interest me the most because I could apply my creative abilities to it in whatever route I end up choosing to go down. But because I only just finished my freshman year, I haven't taken too many specific marketing classes yet. I'm still in my like general education classes. But this summer I'm working at a shop or like a boutique in Nantucket, Massachusetts. It's called For Now. I live there for the summer and now I'm working there for the summer. And while I'm there working there, I'm also helping run their social media and marketing page, which will be, I feel like, a cool opportunity and little project for me to experience that will tie into my business marketing major well.
Nice. Is it like a
Mhm.
clothes shop or like a beauty shop?
Yeah, it's like a clothing shop.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Well, anyone that's going to Nantucket this summer, feel free to
Yeah.
check that
Come
out.
find me.
Well, you get to play in the Big 12. I'm just curious what that conference is like because it's kind of brand new. I think it's just started like 3 years ago for sponsoring women's lacrosse. So I'm just curious what it's like playing in that conference and the competition you face each game.
Yeah, the Big 12 has some very good experience, like top 20 teams, like we saw this year, like Boulder and Florida, which as a freshman was really cool to be playing against. However, being alongside these big name teams also comes the perception that SCSU is kind of like that underdog. And being named an underdog definitely comes with positives and some downsides. It definitely would fuel us playing in each game, knowing that we're playing in a Big 12 game against these big names because we knew that we had the skill to compete and come up against these teams. However, there definitely came some internal challenges with that, like fear and nerves about the bigger names of like Florida or Boulder or ASU because they are ranked or just known as really successful teams. When in reality, they're just all girls like us playing the same game. But overall, being in the Big 12 is a really cool experience, and I'm glad that we were able to join a conference because prior SDSU was kind of just floating around. Um, but it's definitely exposed us to some great competition, which at the end of the day is really exciting, and that's what lacrosse is all about. So after my freshman year, it was really cool to play these teams.
Now, talk about the San Diego State campus and what are some cool things to do there in the San Diego area because I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough, as much as like LA or other places in Southern
Mhm.
California.
Great. San Diego is amazing. It wasn't a city that I was necessarily familiar with before college, but once I came visiting SCSU and now after being there for a year, the SCSU campus is beautiful. I love the Spanish styled architecture and kind of the natural landscaping that they have everywhere. The fact that there's just palm trees all around me too, I think is great because I'm from Chicago. So I love seeing that every day. And then SCSU has a ton of clubs, which I think is great. We also have like a bowling alley and something called the Aquaplex, which is a public pool area for students, which is definitely a popular spot with me and my teammates. We also have a trolley on campus that takes us down to different locations in the San Diego area and directly into San Diego, which was helpful if you don't have a car. We also have a turtle pond in the middle of our campus, which is really funny, but it's definitely a relaxing place to do homework. And then in our public student gym, there's also a rock climbing wall if you're into that kind of stuff. And SDSU offers a lot of like yoga and Pilates and spin workout classes. There's definitely lots of like active things to do on campus. And then we also have a bunch of turf fields that are for like club sports. We use one of them that we share with our football team for their practices. But besides that, there's like a lot of club sports teams too. And then same with the San Diego area. There's so much to do, and because we're so close to the city, there's just endless activities. San Diego has some great shopping, places to eat, and they have really nice farmers markets too. Also, all the different beaches and beautiful spots to hang. There's so many, yeah, different beaches, beautiful spots to hang out, to spend the day. My favorite area, me and my teammates, we love going to Pacific Beach. There's great lunch spots, and then the beach is just really nice. And then they also have a long boardwalk that we'll like to take walks on too. And there's also such like a wide variety of things to do in San Diego for like different personalities, like and whatever interests you have, which I think is great. Like there's something for everyone. So I definitely find myself rarely bored at school. There's always something to do.
Yeah. Is there a difference between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean?
I think the Pacific Ocean, I could be totally wrong, but I think it stays colder,
Okay.
maybe. I don't know if there's much of a difference. I haven't figured that out yet, but I
Yeah.
think it stays colder. I
Yeah.
think.
I've never seen it before, so I was just curious if there
hmm
was.
Yeah, I
But
think it's definitely a little cooler than East Coast.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the turtle pond, is there like real life turtles there?
Yeah, we have a bunch of turtles and koi fish swimming around in this pond. And there's just like a bunch of little seats around and stuff. So a lot of students just kind of walk by and check out the turtles. It's funny.
You're probably not allowed to touch them, I imagine. It's more of just,
No, no, you're not, but definitely people try to pick
oh,
them up
there's
at
people that
times.
try to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been some issues, but they're all safe. They're okay.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Well, they got hopefully install a security camera there or something to
Yeah.
help protect
No,
them a little bit.
they're safe. Yeah.
Now, how have you learned to balance school, social life, and lacrosse as a student athlete? And what do you think is like the biggest misconception about being a student athlete, in your opinion?
So yeah, I kind of was worried about the balance of school life, social life, and lacrosse at first. It definitely felt chaotic and that I was always on the move, but once I started to get into my everyday routine, the balance came more naturally. It can be easy to get stressed out as a student athlete, so I tried to have the mindset of focusing on one thing at a time rather than overwhelming my brain with all the different things that I had to do that day. I would often tell myself, like, be where my feet are, which would help me whenever I got overwhelmed, and then also making a to-do list or a schedule for that day kind of helped me create that balance more naturally. And then, in my opinion, the biggest misconception about student athletes is that we have no social life and that our sport is our life. And I would definitely say, yes, lacrosse is a huge part of my life at school, but I also had a lot of time to create a social life for myself, especially as a freshman, which was great, because that also then created a balanced environment for me. And I also feel like I had more time than I expected to kind of explore San Diego and have activities outside of lacrosse.
Yeah. How often do you get to meet other non-student athletes and have you developed friendships with them personally?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten close with some of the girls on other teams. We actually freshman year and all 4 years, you have a class called Aztecs Going Pro, and it helps. They help give you opportunities for like internships and jobs, that things to set you up after college. But it's also a way to meet all the other athletes that you have in your class. So we did a lot of activities just to like get to know you stuff, and then just like you see people around the athletic facilities, which is great too. So there's definitely a lot of like intermingling between athletes.
Who would you say is the closest women's lacrosse is to another sport? Like, are you in women's soccer like the closest, or is it like you in another sport?
I would say, yeah, we hang out with women's soccer quite a bit, and we also like to hang out with the baseball team a bit too. So those are the two sports that I would say that we hang out with a lot. But honestly, it's a mix, and we hang out with water polo too. Also the swim team. There,
Mhm.
it's a lot.
If you were to play like another sport at San Diego State, what would you pick if you had the choice?
I would say tennis just because I've been playing that my whole life,
Mhm.
and I feel like that would be a cool sport to play in college. And I do have a friend on the tennis team. She's super cool, and the SSU tennis program is great. They went really far this year. I think they won the Mountain West Championship. They did great, so I would say tennis probably.
Yeah. Do they have a golf team? Because that would be what I would probably pick.
Yeah, they do. Their golf team, the women's golf team, the men's golf team, they're great. They're really good.
Yeah, so that's probably what I would pick if I had a
hmm
choice.
Yeah,
especially
it'd
in
be really fun.
California because you can play year round.
Yeah, exactly. And we have some beautiful courses too. Like they go to some crazy places. I'm jealous of them, honestly. It's cool.
Now, what advice would you give younger athletes who are watching this YouTube channel on just in general the recruiting process, dealing with adversity, and just being a better teammate? Like, what would you say to them if they were watching this right now?
hmm Yeah, advice that I would definitely give would just be to say, or I would say, remember to have fun throughout your athletic career because I feel like these days with sports growing and becoming more competitive, it's easy to forget why you're an athlete in the first place. And it's because like you love the sport, the people, the competition, whatever it may be. You won't be an athlete forever, so just enjoy the moments of your sport throughout all the ups and downs while you're still in it because being an athlete is such a special thing.
Last question I want to ask you, Madison. What's your favorite lacrosse memory?
My favorite lacrosse memory so far was winning state my senior year of high school against our rival school. We had lost to them for 2 years straight, and then we finally came up with a win, which just like felt like a perfect ending and way to close out high school. It was one of the best, most emotional feelings I've experienced, especially knowing how hard that we worked to get to that moment. So yeah, definitely state championship.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there any shout outs you want to give to your friends, family, teammates, coaches? And yeah, if there's anyone that should be on the our podcast next, who would you recommend?
I would definitely recommend, and I want to shout out my roommate and best friend at school, Lila Turley. Not only did she leave a huge impact on the our team this year, but she was the best roommate and friend that I could have asked for. I don't think I would have gotten through all the ups and downs of freshman year without her. She's someone that I can always count on to be there for me, and she's such a big support system. So I'm so grateful for our friendship that we've created, and I can't wait for the next couple years with her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Madison, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on. It really means a lot to myself and to the rest of the platform. Obviously, wish you all the best this off season in Nantucket and
Mhm.
best of luck next season as well. So, thank you so much for doing this. It was great chatting with you and getting to know more about your career.
Thank you so much for having me again, too. It was nice meeting you.
All right.